You know, in the whole debate about green economy and climate change, you would realize that countries ask the question, what does it mean if I take climate action, if I go into green economy? What does it mean for jobs? What does it mean for coal miners? Will they lose their jobs? And if so, who will win jobs? So the question came about in this whole sustainability debate on what is the impact of these green policies on the labor market. Now, countries need evidence base. They cannot make decisions based on just anecdotal evidence. So what is needed is thorough tools to understand the economic and distributional impact of those climate and green economy policies. So we created in 2013, together with around 20 research institutions around the world, what we call the Green Jobs Assessments Institutions Network, called GAIN. So these institutions around the world, they are engaging in economic modeling approaches to understand and help countries understand the social and employment dimension of those green policies, as I had said. Now, the idea is that each and every country trusts its own institutions. So we need to build the capacity, notably in developing countries, such as in Africa, to build the capacity of research institutions to use those tools that we have at our disposal and train them to build models at country level. So there we are with the training hub, the first regional training hub, Africa, that we launched today, where we have a partnership with the University of Pretoria to bring research institutions from across Africa to train them in these green jobs assessment models. We call them also GJAM, green jobs assessment models, to analyze the implications of climate and green economy policies.
How many countries in Africa are involved in this?
So far, we have been working with a dozen of countries. So, for example, we had just concluded some research and some modeling in Zambia. We are now working in Ghana. We have been working and public green jobs assessment Mauritius. We are doing an update of this modeling approach this year with the government of Mauritius and the University of Mauritius, who is a partner in the GAIN network. And we're working in a couple of other countries, such as Tunisia, where we had also published a study. And it's around a dozen of countries, but we hope that we reach out now with the PAGE program. We reach out to all SADC countries, notably looking at Southern Africa, but also broader, and see if we cannot get around 20 countries to develop these methodologies.
Can you give us an example of the outcomes that came from your research?
Yeah. So, for example, in Mauritius, we had estimated that the green sector of the economy employs around 6% of the labor force. So our methodology is very particular and pertinent in the way that we split the industries into a brown and a green industry, to put it simple. And then we analyze the employment effects of certain policy scenarios on aggregate employment, meaning that, say, if you invest into electricity generation from coal in Mauritius, how many jobs will you directly create in that industry? But then this methodology allows us to understand the value chain. In order to produce electricity from coal, obviously you need input that is coal, which in Mauritius is imported, right? So what are the indirect effects, the indirect job effects of these investments? And then we compare this investment in coal, we compare that to renewable energy in Mauritius, for example. And what we find is that we call it the total employment multiplier, the direct jobs created and the indirect jobs created, is much higher in renewable energy, because the supply chain, the value added in these green sectors of the economy, such as renewable energy, are just higher. So the government was informed by these modeling approaches and adopted a strategy to increase employment in the green industries up to 10% of the total labor force. So it was a huge success that opened the eye of policymakers. If I go green, I create more jobs per unit of investments, and it's a beneficial strategy because if I have more jobs, the income that the workers earn would be spent again on the economy, what we call the induced effect. So the total effect, the direct effect, the indirect effect, and the induced effect is much higher in some of the green sectors that we have analyzed in Mauritius. So the government was eager to engage in strategies to promote these employment gains.
Do you think your program could help unlock some of the sticky unemployment situations that you find across Africa, for example, in South Africa?
Yes, definitely. I think there are two main unlocking potential. The first one is the opposition of a vested interest and of beliefs, I would say. As we had often in the past heard, or we grow first and clean up later. There's a dichotomy between growth and the environment. No? So what we try with these analytical tools help countries understand that that's not necessarily the case. No? In these analyses, you find again the employment effects at the forefront, which helps the government to understand that you can engage into evidence-based strategies that help create employment in certain sectors and see where employment is lost so that you can quantify, say, you gain 1 million jobs and you lose 200,000 jobs, for example, and you're able to pinpoint exactly which are the sectors that lose jobs and which are the sectors which gain jobs. So this helps government to make evidence-based decisions so that opposition to the green transition is informed and that no longer beliefs on job destruction dominates the political debate. So this is one. And then second is the possibility to plan better for social protection, skills development for those emerging sectors of the economy, where you can then analyze how many managers do I need, how many technicians do I need, how many social protection programs do I need to cater for those who lose their jobs. So it's a fine planning tool that we propose to governments through this GAIN methodology that governments can use for planning purposes.